episode 4. We've got the usual suspects here and an additional guest as well. Rob, thank you for coming on.
Thanks for having me.
Episode 4.
Right.
And in this one, we're going to talk about EVs and the pros and cons of it and whether or not it's good for the environment. It's a big debate. There are a lot of people have opinions on it. We have Rob, who is an owner of an EV as well. So it's good to have an owner's perspective in this conversation. So that's what we'll debate today.
Maybe I think you should Rob's a friend of mine, and maybe so I can start with something nice because we're about to downtown. Rob has a great car resume. He's Lamborghini Diarno back in 2005, 6, 7. Yeah. 7. You've had Tesla Model S. You've got an Lamborghini Urus currently. You've had a 488 Ferrari. You've got a Model X currently and a Porsche Taycan.
Yeah, so I got 2 EVs and a gas-powered Urus.
Oh, it's a good balance. It's a good balance.
Car show, Montreal. What did you think was going on there?
All EVs.
It was basically an EV spectacle, right?
Might as well be consumer electronics show.
Yeah,
It was just the wrong place.
that's what it felt like. It felt like it was basically they were pushing EVs like crazy, and not so much from like domestic companies or even the bigger companies like Mercedes or Porsche, but small new companies, right? So
Fast, Vietnamese.
that's right. Yeah, brand. I'm not sure. I think they're based on other platforms, right?
BMW, Audi.
Yeah, so they take other platforms and then they incorporate their own hybrid systems or electronic systems. But they were basically the highlight of the show this year. So
It's true. Any initial thoughts? I know it's going to be.
Well, I don't want to pin my flag to the mast, but it's hard for me to get excited about electric vehicles. I will be, I'll be the contrarian here, I suppose. Rob, how do you feel about electric vehicles?
Listen, I'm not here to make a case for them. I've been in Tesla since 2015. I loved it, but my lens is I'm a tech guy. I'm a tech entrepreneur. I like tech. I like entrepreneurship. Elon does that, and I was very excited for my iPod on wheels, and it performs incredibly well.
Yeah.
Right? Uninterrupted torque is something to be excited about. Right?
How
The
is
acceleration is incredible.
Yeah, I mean, that's the party piece for a lot of electric cars, right? It's the instant torque, no lag. Or how far or how long does that party piece live on? What was the best?
Keep retired of it?
Yeah.
It's the opposite. It was really hard to go back.
Yeah.
And it's funny, you made the argument when I first got it. It's the torque falls off. We go on the higher end, right? And it was Porsche that solved that by brute force, right? Adding a third motor, so 135.
And then
I feel another kick in the pants. I love that feeling. So I think.
But what do you hear along the way?
What do I hear?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
The air, the wind.
So
the roads.
I loved that. I love the style, but definitely
the
ninja approach. I bought into that really early. I quite enjoyed that. But I did miss the rumble of the Ferrari, right? And then I got the Ferrari and I hated it.
Oh,
it sounded fine, but to drive it was garbage.
What Ferrari was this again?
488. Yeah.
so what was so garbage about the 488 in comparison?
So I guess I was just so used to that uninterrupted torque. I just love that. I press the pedal. I go I press the pedal. Thinks about it. It goes really fast. It sounds really sexy, and embarrassingly, it hurt my back. I was just physically uncomfortable in the car itself. I washed it more than I filled with gas. But I mean, I went to Lamborghini, and I've always been a fan of Lamborghini, and I actually love that car.
The Urus,
The Urus that you so quickly dismissed last week.
Yeah.
It's a big fan
Not you because it doesn't pop, which is the reason I like that. You're just let's talk about coupes over the years. Yeah, it's expensive. Moving on.
Big fan of the show.
Yeah, it's a big fan of the show.
So how do you compare, for example, the Urus power delivery to the 488? Because both similar. They're both turbocharged V8s, right?
It's it's less interrupted, I guess, I could use that word, but I think it shifts a little better, probably because it's made a bit more cushier. It's not really. I guess I'm not used to sitting on the floor anymore. Gallardo was a gated shifter. I loved shifting. I love
more
driving
games.
the shit out of it.
Yeah.
You swear, right? I love driving that car. And I drove it until its bitter end.
You know what? One point I can see, because I agree, like electric vehicles do really well in straight line performance, but I feel like that, and that is the arena of performance for probably 90% of traffic, right? Or car people, is that stoplight feeling. So yeah, I think electric vehicles do that well.
Yeah.
Right, so
Like, see, my experience with, I'm not sure, I think you were with us when we drove the Plaid.
Yeah.
Yeah, so,
I was in the back seat, it was in my
I mean, this is exclusive to Tesla, because I haven't driven like the Porsche or any other ones, but the Plaid was extremely fast. Like, it put you in your seat, you almost had, like butterflies, like you're letting go of the steering wheel, but the brakes were horrible. They were so bad, right? So,
It goes forward fast.
but it doesn't stop very quickly.
And when I tried the Taycan, I was like shocked because it's like twice the price, half the range.
Yeah.
But when I drove it, I was like, oh, this is a Porsche, right? This is not just the go fast straight. This is like a real deal.
like you're making comparison to your Model S.
To the Model S, yeah.
Model S.
Yeah.
And that's what the Taycans are really cool about. Like I got to test drive a few of those as well, and they drive like a normal car. Right? You can feel it. It handles like a Porsche. You don't feel the weight of the car, right?
Yeah, it's
Very awesome.
I was really impressed. And it's funny because the EV version is my baby drug to Porsche. Right? I'm a Porsche guy now, and you guys are all Porsche guys. So I'm kind of coming in the back door here. It's like I messaged him the other day. I'm like, I think I need a 911.
It's a great
Almost
commuter
circle.
car.
Yeah.
But like maybe going back to how it's impacted the industry in some way, I think EVs have brought about innovation in the automotive space.
Okay.
In terms of autonomous drive, I think Tesla really pushed the boundaries. And before Tesla brought a lot of that technology to market, they were predicting autonomous technology like tier 3, 4, or whatever that levels were. We were 10 years or 15 years away from achieving that autonomous drive level that we are with Tesla, right?
Yeah.
They really accelerated that. Now the actual is like, we are 5 years away. So I think some of the good things of the EVs is the fact that it's brought about innovation in the automotive space that's been so happy moving at snail's pace,
Right. That's this wholesale change, not incrementalism.
But I like that's what Elon does. That's what innovators do.
Yeah.
Push. And
Because SpaceX is a great example of that too.
if it doesn't exist, well, let's make it exist, right? And he's like Tesla's like mostly vertically integrated. Like that's a completely new approach.
Yeah. I mean, they've had to compromise on quality on certain aspects, which is granted. You want customers to have the car, it's safe, it runs, but it's not at the quality level of a Taycan, for example. Right?
Yeah, for sure.
You can tell, but also like Model 3, Model Y, probably the best selling Teslas there are.
Yeah.
What's the starting price of a Model 3? 60,000?
No.
70?
Model 3, 40 grand.
No.
I think they not called them down a bit. Like I think
They just did another price adjustment 2 days ago.
Okay, but
But that's for just a single motor.
that's right. It's a single motor, but it's still an electric
Yeah.
Tesla. And find me a competitor for $50,000. Yeah, the Leaf. The Nissan Leaf is a really great competitor.
What percentage of do you know?
It's Kona was 50 grand.
Yeah, the Kona is 50
EV,
grand.
which I loved actually.
Yeah.
I drove it.
It has that DeLorean feel.
Yeah, it looks.
It does.
I
with the speckle, the dotted LED taillights and headlights,
Where do you put the plutonium? where do you where do EV sales factor? Like, are they 20% of the market right now? Are they 15?
So they did a big case study on it. They just reached what they call tipping point, so about 5% of the market. And once you get to 5% of the market, the tipping point happens in 5 to 25. It becomes really, really fast. So
That's your growth.
So like in once in a while you'd see a Tesla in the street. Now there's probably 2 or 3 on your street.
Yeah.
It's here.
Yeah.
That's just specific to Tesla, not just EV.
And a lot of that is due to regulations being placed on by governments as well to say, hey, by 2030 or 35,
2035 in Canada and 2035 California.
2030 in Europe, I think,
Yeah.
that they can sell gasoline-powered cars. And I think those regulations are what's pushing a lot of manufacturers towards it.
But I also, and then from a consumer demand, I think government incentives like the green incentives and rebates for people that buy EVs, I think that's also probably helped get to the 5%.
Yeah.
Did you get any rebates on your take-in or?
When I got the Model S, it was just out, and then it came back after I got it. It was a $14,000
Right.
rebate,
Right.
so it was like $120,000 purchase.
Yeah.
It kind of sucked. Then they brought it back.
Yeah.
But now they have electric tax, so like,
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's
how
a-
to buy
Wait,
it.
hold on.
It's like-
Is it electric tax?
No,
No,
luxury.
luxury
Oh,
tax.
luxury
Yeah,
tax.
luxury tax.
Tax.
Yeah, that's coming soon.
That's
That'll come.
That'll come, yeah.
Once they get everyone.
In the pipeline.
Yeah.
But yeah, that also brings a lot of, I guess, problems in California, especially. You see them lining up at charge stations.
Yeah.
There's a huge amount of Teslas on the streets. Obviously, problems with finding charge stations and accommodating, right? So, infrastructure is not really prepared to make the change by 2035, in my opinion.
Yeah, I completely agree. Yeah, it's so true.
And the other thing, kind of somewhat related to that point, was
Are you reading notes?
I did take some notes,
Oh.
but I'm not reading them. I'm talking my memory.
So it's in front of you, Mike.
Those pictures of lineups in California, that was a week after they announced a ban on gas cars.
Yeah.
Think of the optics of that. Like, you know, a week after you say we're not going to sell gas cars, and then they're also prohibiting EV owners from charging their vehicles.
Yeah.
For me, I know we're going to the government. I think there's bad policy.
But what do you mean they're prohibiting from charging?
They were saying because the power grid was strained because
Oh, that-
our grid is not built to handle all these EVs.
That's right.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean,
And
what,
California is especially.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They're
They
actually-
use their AC.
So and it was September 2022 is when they made this announcement, the ban on gas cars to 2035, and then again it was a week later. You saw these lineups. You had I don't know if they were rolling brownouts, but they were not allowing people to charge their cars. And I think about that: if you have to get to work, it just feels very uncomfortable to me to be reliant upon the government for freedom of mobility and travel. It just seems like a bad idea.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, at what percent, like, you were saying 5% of the market is where we're kind of seeing it going at now. But at what point does it become, I mean, if at 5% California is hurting, I mean, imagine what the rest of the world is going to
I think California is way beyond 5%.
Yeah, there'd probably be 30%.
They're 30, 35% at least.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a good example of what it's doing, right? And that goes to some of the categories of the pros and cons, right? Like, you know, like the electricity consumption. You know, where are you getting that electricity from? Matters.
Do you know the breakdown of that?
I
So,
guess
you know,
the diesel generators.
Well, you see that on roadside assistance, but yeah, they typically operate like a tow vehicle with a generator
Yeah.
on it to do roadside assistance on electric vehicles. But 40% of the electricity produced for electric vehicles is from liquid natural gas.
Yeah, so
20% is nuclear, and only like 17% is renewable resources. So
Solar or something.
2% is solar.
Really?
Wind and hydro is the other 15%.
hydro is a big one for us.
Hydro's for us, yeah.
Well,
Ontario's nuclear and hydro.
yeah. And
So-
this is a US stat, but 8% I think was hydro in the US.
And what percentage was it for Canada, or? Like,
I would think maybe we're a little higher in hydro.
But it's still not even beyond the 40% mark.
No. So I think we're below 40% here. But then after you have the problems of distribution of, like, let's say you buy a house in a condensed neighborhood, 200 amp services minimum. You don't have that available.
Yeah.
You know, maybe out of 100 houses, you have 20 or even less that have 200 amp services.
All new homes though don't have to be built.
No.
So they have services.
They
I
can't.
know when I built my home.
Your home is under 2 acres though. So you can have that, right? But like if you buy a builder home on a 30-foot lot, you can't accommodate 200 amp to every house. just not, we don't have the capabilities.
I
to
mean,
do
I,
that.
I have a 200 amp service, and I'm over with the two EVs.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's crazy.
yeah, because right now we're building 400 amp service houses.
Wow.
Because people have two EVs, they have
Yeah.
8,000 square feet, they have pools, heaters, everything. You need 400 amps.
I mean, even just doubling to 10%, it's going to take down our grid.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So that's a huge, huge problem, right?
I don't know how then that just means that 100% of our electricity produced has to come from renewable sources like wind and hydro. And
What, and I'm not going to pretend that this is my idea, but I heard where someone had maybe put the discussion paper forward and said, okay, we can move ahead with electric vehicles provided they're wholly charged by renewable resources. That's the only way this model makes
how do you
sense.
control that? I mean,
Well,
Well, I think you do production, right? You have to get
Yeah.
production in a place where it's not 40% LNG or
Maybe it's
20%
Sweden.
nuclear.
where they don't have a lot of like fossil fuel based energy.
Who doesn't have a lot?
Sweden?
I don't know, the Scandinavian, like Norway's very oil rich.
Oh yeah. Okay.
Okay. I don't. It draws me to the point of like, where's this cognitive dissonance that people are parading electric vehicles around like it's the next environmental savior, and I think it's quite the opposite. We haven't even talked about like
The
the
impacts.
precious metals,
Yeah.
cobalt mining,
Oh.
lithium mining.
That's the second piece of this puzzle as
Right.
well, is the battery production, right? Like
but the torque is so good though.
So I don't.
It's amazing. That's how vehicles don't have electronics. I was going to put away my rotary dial telephone over here. It doesn't have any cobalt.
Like this
The day they make a gas powered phone, I will.
I know. With the next drive.
Yeah.
The tooth throw.
And everybody with that acceleration, all that blood flows to the back of the head, so you forget about what's happening.
Right, but those poor 16-year-old moms with kids on their back, artisanal mining, cobalt from the
So
Congo.
glad you guys invited me on this.
Well, this is always the debate, right? Like,
Yeah.
there's purists who are pro NA vehicles, not even turbochargers. That's the whole other topic, right? And then you have the electric kind of gang, and it's always the pros and cons. And
I would say, like, I don't think I'm a purist. I can't square the circle about how this is good. I think it's worse for the environment.
Well, so here's the thing. I think infrastructure is lacking. We get it. I think we understand
So
that.
it's not convenient in any sense, right?
Yeah.
No infrastructure. I don't want to charge my car for an hour.
well, let's say at this point, with let's say our 10% of electric vehicles in our where we live, I think it's still realistic. I mean, you have any issues charging your car or driving?
Never.
No.
And like, here's the thing, like, it's an innovation.
Yeah.
You know, there's government overreach, there's government trying to force things down our throat because we're going to change the sky in years that in 5 years. It doesn't work, it's never worked. Canada's like one of the worst
Yeah.
to comply. But it's like, I don't think it's any worse.
I think it's worse for the environment.
I don't think it's worse for the environment, but like, I'm sure from several lenses you could probably argue that, but I can probably counter that. Like, I lived in supply chain transparency for a decade, right? So we talk a lot about tungsten, tin, tantalum, and gold, and cobalt, and anti-human trafficking. Like we delved deep into this, and Tesla was one of our clients, and they've gone a long way, and it's not incumbent upon them. Like they didn't force the government to say, yeah, well, this is a great idea. Look what Elon did. Everyone must have one by 2035. We have to change the way that goes. No, you can adopt it.
Yeah.
It could grow organically, and like people were resistant, right? Like a lot of car companies were resistant. Ford wanted to, and now this lithium storage shortage for sure. It's in abundance, but like to get it, yeah, you have to go through miners. You have to go through. Go to the DRCs is a scary place, right? Like it's a tough thing, but that's true for all electronics, not just cars, right?
That's where I stand on that too. Is I think it's good to have the choice. If you want an electric car, you have
Here it is.
It's an innovation platform for you to innovate on these spaces. It's not going to be perfect from day one. It's going to take time to get to an efficient system that is self-sufficient or it's sustainable in some way. We're not there yet today. Infrastructure, all of this innovation comes at the expense of, if we grow at the rate that we're going, right now it may not be a big impact, but I think down the road, if infrastructure doesn't change, if battery technology doesn't change, if you don't innovate in those spaces, we are going down a kind of a rabbit hole that could have been there.
Like, we'll get bottlenecks here and there, but like, tech doesn't slow down.
Yeah.
There's a company just in Ottawa called G Batteries, and they're working on a tech to charge your battery as fast as it takes to try to fill your car. And it's doing that while preserving the integrity of the battery itself. It's actually really cool. You can see inside the battery itself, and you see like it's using AI to defragment the lithium ion, and like it actually preserves extends the length of the battery itself, so it doesn't end up in the landfill as well, and it can be reused. Solid state
Yeah,
is going to
that,
come
that's
out as well.
I think
Yeah.
it's a nice sponsor, G Battery.
Let's keep me on low key for now.
But see, but the majority of the batteries we're
You're gonna
using,
need it.
yeah, the majority of batteries we're using, I'm assuming, are lithium in all these cars. So Rimac is not using lithium.
No, they are.
No, they're not. Rimac is using an alternative battery. It's not lithium, and they have a whole factory in place developing and testing these batteries and developing them for other car manufacturers. So lithium is almost the past. But there's a new technology coming out.
But it's not mainstream yet.
It's exclusive to Rimac at this point, I believe.
Ah,
So
You're going to see a lot of these.
yeah,
Right? And like hopefully they'll plug and play with these traditional lithium ion. And then, you solved a little bit of the problem.
I think it's a fair point. Like, we things that held constant, our technology always innovates, and the rate of diffusion accelerates. I'm all in on that point. I just wondered, isn't there a better mousetrap with like synthetic fuels?
oh yeah.
It leverages the existing infrastructure, current state. You don't have the range issues, all the things we described as maybe the cons.
zero emissions. More, I think
Zero
more than
emissions.
zero emissions.
Well, it's not zero emissions. There's still the emissions out of e-fuels
From the car,
from the car.
but as a production whole, I
Yes.
think there's less, right? Yeah.
So that's what they're saying about e-fuels coming in, leveraging existing infrastructure. ICE cars don't have to change. It just fills in just like your regular petrol that you're filling in with. The overall life cycle of producing that fuel and the consumption through vehicles is equivalent, or they say maybe could be better than EVs as well. The energy consumption of producing the batteries to
The
recycle-
useful life of
the life cycle of
That's right.
batteries. So they say it's on par, so it's a good alternative to have the Porsche e-fuels. It's not mainstream yet, but they're working on it. I forget where it's Chile that's producing e-fuels now with Porsche. But it's sad because that is a great alternative, but governments are still shutting down,
Right.
EV sales, or not EV sales, ICE sales.
But is there a reason for that? Is there push from the electric side? Is there some sort of benefits they're, receiving, or there's something going on that they're not.
Conspiracies on the
Well,
other
that- I was
side.
gonna say,
yeah.
Because it's always like, it's big gas, it's big oil that's
Yeah.
pushing down EVs, and it
Yeah.
likely has, but
Yeah.
I mean, you're seeing that in.
Well, maybe like you think, authoritarian control. Maybe that's the push. That would be the incentive for. Governments love more control. I don't think that's a
Well, what was the first?
controversial statement.
What was the first EV from? Was it Saturn? GM had the first EV.
GM, they had
EV1?
I think
There's
it
a whole
was.
documentary.
Yeah, it was. Yeah, but the government pretty much.
I think it was GM, right? Yeah, sure, yeah.
I think it was GM EV1 or
But
something.
there's one from like the early 1900s that you'd show up and they would like wheel in and you'd like leave your battery, you'd take out the entire battery, and that's how you fill up your tank instead.
In 1900s.
Yeah, like really
Was
like
it wheels
like-
and CTVs?
there's like yeah, yeah,
Oh man.
like really, there's black and white footage. So just
Okay.
I mean, I think Tesla had a Roadster for the longest time.
Yeah.
Early
yeah, the
2000s.
proof of concept. Yeah.
Yeah. That was based on the Lotus, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I believe so.
A Spree or something? No, a Spree.
No,
A lease.
Or
It was at least designer.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I have a feeling that this whole regulation, the cutoff point for 2030, 2035, they're going to pull that back or extend it especially with the whole e-fuel thing. There's no way.
There's going to be likely alternatives. There's going to be new information. There's going to be new technology. And yeah, I think like what you say, like just access to charging.
Yeah.
That's the key.
And access to fast charging.
Yeah.
Like there's a substantial EV charging network,
Yeah.
but it's useless.
Yeah.
Like what's useless for me is Tesla, because Tesla won't, it's a proprietary plug.
So if you're traveling from Ottawa to Toronto, you would never take your EV, right?
Oh yeah.
And
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, like I took it on a road trip, and you just dial in where you're going, and it tells you the soup station, and then it'll tell you the percentage that you have left. The catch though is that you have to go around the speed limit. Which exactly registering that. They fixed it a little bit with the X, but like I did that with the S, and I was just like, as soon as I was going to go 130, 140, it was just like. I got a message saying, nope, you have to go 100 if you want to preserve your battery to get to the next station. I'm like,
And then if the wind came, you had to go like below the limit.
Well, so here's the other thing I always wanted to ask about was winter.
Yeah.
Canadian winter and EVs are brutal.
Yeah.
Cuts down.
1/3.
Yeah, that's
Easy.
Oh, no way. 1/3.
1/3.
Wow. See,
and
that's,
do you
No,
notice
it's
it?
a 1/2. It could be worse.
And you go outside all day?
You turn on the heat.
I wouldn't, like in the -20, I wouldn't bring it to the office. But I wouldn't bring the Porsche to the office.
Do you,
Wow.
and do you notice, is there a degradation of battery come summertime, or does it fully restore to what the
Oh yeah,
it wasn't?
for sure.
So no,
It keeps
It's
going
just
up.
a temperature.
It comes back, yeah.
As soon as it hits like -30 or -20 with the wind chill, it's even colder. It just kills.
But also in the winter, I don't go to a gas station.
yeah.
Ever.
But you gotta live with mileage anxiety.
No, not at 500 kilometers every day. Every day I leave, I have like
that's
I
what
have a
you
full
charge.
tank.
Yeah.
Yeah, for
So,
sure.
so you charge basically at home all the time.
Yeah, it goes off peak, so it's like,
Yeah.
I think it's like $30 a month to keep it charged.
It's 500 for the Taycan.
Yeah, no, for the X, the Taycan was maybe 250. That's why I said I wouldn't even take it to the office on a cold day. It's that I get range anxiety.
So is the Taycan S or Taycan Turbo or Taycan Turbo S, are those, they offer different ranges, or is it like the same range for all of them?
Same.
It's more range on the Turbo S, but it degrades faster because you're using Turbo S, so it
On average.
washes. Yeah. So if you actually drive it, you're not getting far.
So you can go
But you're getting there fast.
Yeah, that's true.
So the Turbo S, you can speed to Toronto, for example.
Yeah.
And have the
Coast
same-
in at the end.
We'll push it at the last mile.
If you break down, or run out, is there a network of services that can come and charge you? Like I've seen videos of it,
CAA probably.
and they would have diesel generators or something to power you up.
Or electric.
What's important to you in a 911? Like, do you want back seats for the girls?
No.
Okay.
No, I don't think so. I think
The thing is,
I think driving, I think flex.
Okay.
I mean, I have a Urus.
yeah,
You
yeah.
want to sell your?
No, I think you know what.
Yeah,
If-
I'll buy your car.
the thing is, if he's like an EV guy, he likes the torque and he likes the flex. Like, there's nothing better than a Turbo S.
Yeah.
Turbo S is like the
No,
best flex
I want a gas
fast.
powered.
Yeah, it's
It's
gas powered.
Turbo S.
Yeah,
Oh, I thought you
Turbo
were talking
S.
about the
Yeah, yeah.
Taycan. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, the Taycan, yeah.
Yeah.
So,
It's confusing with the
so
Porsche.
so the
Yeah, they should have
Taycan.
called it that.
No,
Like,
the,
so
the
dumb.
Taycan was actually everyone was asking why they named a Taycan a Turbo S when it has no turbos.
Yeah.
It kind of it's a model designation more so than actual literal translation. But the Porsche 911 Turbo S is essentially, I think, what you're looking for. It's a extremely fast,
Yeah.
hard launching
Comfortable.
GT car with rear seats that has a wide body,
Nice.
wings to come up and down. It's got.
I mean, if you didn't like a 488, you might not like something as racy as like
Oh, right.
Turbo's RS.
There's
especially with your back.
at my daughter's school. There's a guy. I mean, he's clearly a lawyer because of his license plate. But I just love that car. I'll take a photo, like a creeper, next time, and I'll show you. I just love it. Just like aesthetically pleasing, and he drives it. I like that. Like, and the Ferrari is one of those things that I would never have wanted to drive. I would just like look at it in my garage.
So what would the 911 replace in your garage? Or isn't it an ad?
The Tesla.
The Model X?
The Model X?
Oh, no.
I think this debate has just been settled.
let's
Yeah.
Let's wrap it up.
Or in addition to, I don't know.
Yeah.
I love the Model X. It's like the sexiest feature to me for the unsexiest reason. Those Falcon doors,
Yeah.
like to put the kids inside
Yeah.
and not slam them on. Not that I would never do that. Like, you know, I with the Model S, like, oh, hit your head on the glass again. And you know, I'm 50, so my back hurts. But it covers you from the elements, and you put them in and strap them in. It's actually fantastic.
I know one of our friends. He has the Lotus Evora.
Yeah.
He's a car guy. He loves he loves performance cars and sports cars, and he has a Model X, and he like loves it. He actually came down to my place to show the girls because the girls love the doors too.
Yeah.
So he came down and they got a tour of his car. They went in and out, and he travels with the car. He goes on road trips. He puts his bikes on the top,
That's awesome.
and he has no complaints either, right? So
Nice.
there must be some good things about the car that we obviously haven't experienced.
Like I said, on the innovation front, they've done things that are way beyond what I think they're addressing user needs. You know,
The autopilot, I think you guys would truly appreciate. Maybe not in the more like the post-COVID, time, but I loved it for traffic. I'm not sitting in traffic. You put it on, it inches, it goes, and like once I'm ready to drive again, I can take
My
it over.
X5 has that.
Not really though.
Yeah, it
Because
does.
it'll inch over.
Yes, it has that.
Oh no, I've driven
after
it.
30 seconds, it will turn off.
You have to touch the wheel with your pinky.
And
But
no,
I
guys
think
don't-
it'll jerk
you don't have
back
to do it.
Teslas.
and kill you because that's what X5s do. Because my X5 story is I rented one over the summer in Vancouver, and it was a 2022, and it broke down in the middle of Vancouver traffic.
Yeah.
And I called the I will not say the the rental agency's name, Avis, and they said they're like, "Can you safely get out of the vehicle?" No, I cannot, because I'm in the middle of like traffic and people
wow.
are flying around me. 15 minutes later, I got it to start and I just drove it, but I'm like,
So how did it stop? What
X5,
happened to
man.
it?
Electronics just
Wow.
died, and I'm trying to start it again and just air it
Oh
out.
wow.
Wow.
What this is
But
the
when
X5?
but like that corrective steering is like, you know, hey, wake up, soul. It's like that. It's that like Tesla. It just drives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's more fluid.
But
probably.
Elon was interviewed, I think, fairly recently, and they might. I think he was shown footage of someone sleeping
Yeah.
on a highway in LA,
Yeah.
and he said, you know, we're probably going to revisit that. That's not the intent of what
For sure.
self-driving was
Oh,
meant.
there's other videos in the car on auto drive that I probably can't name here as well.
Are they on YouTube or are they not appropriate for YouTube?
They are inappropriate.
Okay.
For, inappropriate for YouTube. I've heard. My
Is that a whole new genre on that site? Car.
They're on,
Tesla is
they're on
the
a
gift
different
that keeps
U.
on giving.
Literally.
Whole different Apple CarPlay.
Are we recording audio?
Of course. we
Oh,
are.
Okay.
it's refreshing.
Sorry about the bad audio in the first half of this conversation. It was really good. My bad. I'll get it better.
If it was that bad, they're probably not here right now.
They're probably left by now.
Hypercars. I want to touch base on hypercars.
Electric
Because there's some
hypercars?
really cool electric hypercars.
Like hybrid systems, you mean?
No.
Or just full on electric?
Before we get to
okay, all right,
before we get to hypercars, what can we conclude on kind of our perception of what EVs are, the pros and cons, and whether or not it's an impact on the environment? That's what we originally started off with, and we're saying if nothing changes on the battery front in terms of how batteries are produced, nothing changes on the energy production side of things,
Right.
like
How the grid is supplied.
how the grid is supplied. If it stays the way it is today, and if the number of EVs grow in the marketplace, it's going to hurt us bad, right?
I agree.
Agreed. It'll be an epic failure.
But it's through innovation.
I think it's as unsustainable as the manufacturing of gas-powered vehicles. I think it's a wash in manufacturing.
It's an opinion.
But hold on, that didn't really answer the question.
No.
The question was more so.
Like
Oh no,
current state.
I actually no, I concur. I agree
Yeah.
with you guys.
Yeah.
Like and again, government mandate anything is just a bad idea, and forcing it on like the incentives is not a good idea. And
we didn't even talk about-
rushing the tech.
The one thing we didn't actually talk about was safety, right? In terms of electric vehicles, accidents, like there's
Explosions, fires.
Yeah, fires. Like I think to put an electric vehicle fire, it's like 6,000 gallons of water, which most fire department wouldn't have the infrastructure to do if it's on a highway,
Yeah.
right? Anyways, I don't want to side.
No,
Yes,
no,
but-
those are all valid.
Yeah, no, I
that's
just
a
it's
valid
something I
point.
had thought about. Like it's a swimming pool of water for every EV car accident.
Actually, also subscriptions. I just heard today that Mercedes is offering a subscription for power. So for an additional $120 a month, you can actually buy like more power
With your electric,
with your electric car. So if you buy
Wow.
the
Yeah.
one there, what's that blue one you have on the screen?
How do you mean?
So let's say you buy like that Mercedes right there. I'm not sure of the model names or if there's
EQS.
whatever EQS, and you buy like a stage 1 EQS.
Yeah.
And your payment is, $1,500 a month. Well, for $1,700 a month, if you up the payment, they'll send a signal to the car that'll give it
Extend
more
your
power.
range?
Range and power. You can buy these things now as
Well,
subscriptions.
yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
Tesla did that originally.
Yeah.
Like the launch mode, the Ludicrous Edition was a software update, right?
Oh,
Like,
really?
it was like,
and was that a paid for service?
yeah.
Okay.
And then you have, well, and charging was a part of it, but it's not no longer a part of it. It is with the X. It isn't with the 3s and the Ys.
Yeah.
We have to pay for it.
So I thought like his initial strategy with Tesla, how they were doing solar panels, they had like a big battery pack that was on the side of the home as well.
Powerwall.
Yeah, and that was supposed to be the thing that was going to be self-sustaining.
Yeah.
Like it's off the grid, you're getting power from the sun, it's charging your
Right.
big battery on the side of the house, and that's what's charging your car. And that was truly sustainable in some ways, right?
Yeah.
But I think the whole solar roof thing didn't really take off.
Well, that was
Beyond
it's a
California.
1-2 thing, right? That wall was supposed to draw power on off-peak hours, so like lighten the load on the grid, and then save it, and you can use it throughout the day. But like I don't know if it's taken off.
Yeah.
A
You know
friend of
what?
mine actually has the Tesla roofs. I haven't really asked him about it.
Yeah, the upfront cost of obviously solar panels is expensive. If you want to put them on your roof, you're looking at $30,000. Like upfront.
I thought it was the same now. Like, didn't they advertise it's the same as a tile roof,
As a what kind of roof?
like the Tesla roof? They just said it's the same.
Yeah,
same
there's a difference
installation.
between putting solar panels on what they're just like the
Oh.
Tesla. The Tesla roof is it's a whole roof system that just happens to be solar panels.
Oh, the car itself.
No, it's the roof of your house.
Oh,
It's a
no
Tesla
way.
Roof.
You can buy
yeah.
a roof
Yeah.
like solar
Shingles.
Tesla.
They're
There's
shingles.
proprietary Tesla shingles.
Aren't you in the industry?
Well, I don't build Tesla homes. I don't know.
Apparently not.
Huge in California, but it didn't really make it all the way
Okay.
to Canada and other parts
I'm
of.
sure there's
Yes,
a
here, no,
climate reason for
my
that
friend
too.
here, actually, he doesn't live too far.
Oh,
from me.
here?
Yeah.
They
He
have
had his
Tesla-
house built and he has Tesla roof. Yeah. I haven't asked him about it
Okay.
since, but yeah, I'll follow up.
I think that will be a way to get off the grid. And now it's just sustaining itself. But in general, to kind of conclude on our debate in some ways, infrastructure doesn't change. Government mandates are being pushed on us. Battery technology doesn't change. I think it's just a recipe for disaster as we go down. It's not going to be sustainable for electric vehicles. Even the topic of recycling these batteries, you said, there is some regeneration of the batteries of some sort, but at the end, there's still some waste that we have to deal with at some point, right? It ends up at a landfill.
And
with
I-
all things.
Exactly.
And the one other caveat I would add is they need to figure out like supply chain and what is happening in places like the Congo, because oil and gas would never pass that scrutiny. I've lived in Alberta, and the requirements of oil and gas there, like they have to replant every tree and restore the earth to the way it was. In the Congo right now, it's the largest enslaved, like modern day plantation, and no one, like there's a human rights aspect to that I think needs to be fixed, and then the environmental blight of
So there's initiatives in place to try and better those situations.
Not in the Congo.
There are.
There are,
Really?
yeah,
Sure.
Okay.
yeah.
Well, we were a part of that, in 2012 when they passed Dodd-Frank, and then with the U.S. Senate, and yeah, like that, it's true, but that's for all electronics. That's not
for
EVs.
sure.
Yeah,
But I would just like EVs are the largest.
That's exactly, yeah.
I
like-
don't know that's true.
Oh, I think
No,
getting
no,
good.
That's true. No, like I mean,
like
look
you're
at our
saying you're
electron-
aggregating all the phones. I see what you're saying.
aggregate the phones and,
Yeah.
and all the electronics in our lives. Like we all have them, not just one guy at the table.
No. I totally
Yeah.
agree.
But
Like,
I don't have 6,000 of them. And
You,
and you've got
Eric,
6,000
I think
in
you
your
led this
garage.
podcast with 14.
Yeah,
What happened to the other one? Is it in a landfill somewhere?
No,
did you
it
take
is
it
not.
apart? Did you take it back to the
my
DRC?
my father-in-law is using my old iPhone 10.
it's
'Cause
self-sustaining.
we believe in
That'll
saving
teach 'em.
this planet. So checkmate.
oh man.
So we'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
Electric cars are here to stay, but it's not the environment saving. What's the word?
Panacea?
Yeah, that we're all hoping it is.
Yeah.
It's a thing that's delaying the inevitable unless we make drastic changes in our practices.
Yeah.
With that being said, let's talk about some of the exciting EVs that we can buy in the market today.
Yeah.
I just have to say, I'm really excited that Ferrari announced that they're going to go EV because Lamborghini will follow and do it better.
Wait. Hold on. They announced their an
They're
EV.
going EV, yeah.
What's the EV?
Purasang? The Purasang?
No,
or
that's
whatever?
not
They're doing a bunch.
That's a
Like,
V12.
The president of
But they-
Ferrari said they're heading into the EV market.
Oh no, like
Okay.
all the yeah, okay.
But
Because
that's
they
Not a
toy
hard
with it.
head like the Porsche guy was just like 911s will never be EV.
They're
My
coming.
cold dead hands.
No, they're coming.
Come on, you think?
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I mean,
There will be a 911 variant.
But then it wouldn't be an 911, would it?
Well, the same way a Taycan Turbo S isn't really a turbo.
No, so
It's a designation. I just heard that 5 minutes ago.
the 911 is the last model I think I remember hearing
I agree.
that'll ever turn electric. But it sucks because the 2030 deadline is a big thing for Porsches in general. Like, what are they going to do? Are they not going to sell 911s in Europe?
Now, those rules will still change, in my
They'll
opinion.
buy it in a different country. They'll import
Yeah.
it.
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's
I'm
just
sure.
saying there's no new sales.
Yeah.
I'm sure, like, put your order in now for like a 2029 911. That thing's
See?
gonna be worth a lot of money.
Because I place an order for a GTS and a GT3, and when I get the car, I don't have to pay luxury tax.
Yes, you do.
No, I don't,
Why not?
because my order was placed 2 years ago.
Yeah, but your order actually only comes to like a
No,
conclusive point when the car comes in.
No, it's if you can substantiate that you had an order before the regulation.
Yeah.
I
The
think it's
GT4
before,
RS,
before
no
January
luxury
1st,
tax.
2022.
Yeah.
Right was the date.
Mhm.
So,
so
you
the
put a
GT4
deposit?
RS, I put it deposit.
So the deposit would likely be the transaction.
Yeah.
It can't just be some guy.
Mhm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
3 years ago. So they are sunsetting some of the cars, some of the models like the E63, E63. They're all like, this is the last of these models, and
Yeah.
they're taking orders for it.
Yeah.
Just
Right.
capitalizing like.
The new C class,
yeah.
C63, 4-cylinder,
600
14 turbochargers. Is it? No.
There's one on the roof, one in the trunk. It's like
No, but it's
680 horsepower.
Yeah,
In the
it's a-
last
it's a
episode, you talked about
680
the Homer
horsepower.
Simpson version.
Yeah.
he was
It
talking
needs
about
another
it.
turbo.
Yeah.
Put some
Racing
speed
stripes in
holes
this
in
one.
there.
But even Ferrari said that, I think years back, the CEO said, we will never make an SUV. It's just not in our DNA.
Yeah.
And what do we have? A 6.7 liter V12 Puro Sign, or whatever however it's pronounced, right?
It's
Always be
inevitable.
cautious of people that say never.
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
I'll never
think-
buy an EV, but
I'm hopeful the regulations would change. Oh, wait. Let's go there. You'll never buy an EV ever.
So-
I'm not an EV guy myself. I
So-
don't, because of range anxiety, I don't think I'm in a position to buy a fourth car over 100 grand. So
so it's a pass from you.
but pass for me right now.
In the foreseeable future.
Yeah.
You go a long ways.
We go to Toronto and all that. Like, we just need a family car, and I don't see an EV being a family car, and I don't see an EV being an enthusiast sports car for me. It passed for you, obviously.
No, I wouldn't get one. But for different reasons and ones that I don't want to
Congo.
embroil us in a. Well, I think it's the government. Like, part of me is like, I think it's bad policy right now, and I don't want to reward bad policy. And I don't like I think we have a very bad iteration of government. I know we're going to talk politics, but I think this would be intersection of if a government could shut your car off because you said something unpopular, or wanted to censor you in a way, that would be available to them, right? And I don't know. I know it's a bit
Wow.
kooky, but
Wow.
like mostly
Brother.
it's
Pretty
big
dystopian.
brother, bad government policy, let the free market reign.
Please
That's what I
follow
choose.
Eric's podcast.
Yeah,
It's
I'm gonna start
government
it up.
conspiracies.
The dark web.
It's not eric.org.
Yeah. Lucas,
EVs?
EVs?
You know what? I have this slight interest in the EVs. I think I'll eventually own an EV because I do like the idea of it.
And you'd be mandated to get one.
Maybe I will, maybe I won't. But for now, for the time being, I don't want to give up the fossil fuel automotive.
Range,
Yeah,
convenience.
I mean, it's available, so why pass it up when I'll have to be in an EV eventually? Let's say, right? So I'm just kind of buying cars that are maybe will be non-existent in 10, 15
enjoy
years.
it while it lasts. That's
Yeah.
what okay.
But maybe you come across something that you like, right? You hop in the Porsche, Turbo S.
The Taycan.
So
Yeah,
the thing
Turbo
is,
S,
I
you're
don't.
like, holy shit. Maybe.
Yeah, I do like it though. I drove the Plaid and I was impressed. I was impressed, to be honest. I think the biggest thing is like Prabhu said, range anxiety, winter driving and charging. Let's say my wife parks outside all day at work, and then she'll call me and say, "I didn't charge my car last night.
It's just
Can you
not-
pick me up?"
Other than the Porsche, it's just that's not a thing that happens.
Yeah.
And it's not inconvenient
mean,
at all because you never go to a gas station. I find that really inconvenient in this, especially in this weather.
Tesla is the only car that's giving or only EV that's giving us the range that it has today.
Yeah, for
Every
sure.
other manufacturer, maybe like Toyota EVs have better range, but any of the German Audi, Mercedes, BMW, their EVs don't, or even Porsche, it's like 250 kilometers or 300 kilometers.
Yeah, it's not a lot.
Yeah.
And less in the winter.
Yeah.
For sure.
You know what though? That isn't that bad. Like I have a 6.2 liter V8 truck, and it's not that amazing on fuel, right? Like I get about 480 kilometers tank, the way I drive. So
wow.
yeah.
Okay.
So
The-
I mean,
the Urus, I get 720.
really?
Yeah.
Wow.
But do you actually get 720?
I don't know.
I don't think you do.
No.
Well,
There's no way you get.
size of the
There's
tank?
no
I
way you
think
get
there's-
720 out of it.
Highway.
It's a 300
Highway.
liter
Highway.
tank.
Highway.
It's
Yeah.
a 300 liter tank.
I mean, I drove to Kingston and back several times and still have like the other half of the tank left.
Yeah.
My GT3 RS has a 90-liter tank. I barely fill up at all.
Two tanks of fuel in the summer.
I'm filling up once every 2 weeks.
Yeah. So I think really range anxiety is the biggest factor at this point for me. I don't think I don't have anything against the EVs. Obviously the impact on,
The environment.
environment is the second biggest factor after personal range anxiety.
Inconveniences,
Yeah. So
We're not going to ask you because you're already an owner.
I mean, I have both.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I love both for different reasons. So
What's top of mind for you when we talk about exciting EVs?
I think the Plaid laid it down, the Tesla Plaid. I think that was kind of like the pinnacle of performance EV, right? When it first came out.
Still is, no?
It still is,
Yeah,
but
I
there's
think so
so many
too.
more competitors now.
I think for me, the Taycan is still. Maybe I'm being a bit of a Porsche fanboy here, but I love the Porsche Taycan design. I just wish they put a motor in it.
Well, but you're right, because that was
did 3 of them actually.
that was the Mission E concept
Yeah,
car,
yeah.
which I always thought that's how the Panamera should have looked. I've said that to you many times. But
yeah.
That's exactly it.
Oh yeah, and I still like the Panamera, but I loved the Mission E design, and
Yeah.
the only thing they kept was the wheels.
It's true.
That's what I have, and they call them the Mission E wheels.
Oh man.
Like we're gonna charge twice as much, and by the way, we're only keeping the wheels.
is that the
thanks.
Gran Turismo version of the?
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm less of a fan of that one.
It's a Tarsi special, though.
Off-roading with the bike rack on the top and everything.
Cortado Cruiser, right?
Cortado Cruiser.
Um,
How about the top one, the Lucid?
Yeah, it's
That's
actually nice.
That's been in the news a lot.
yeah,
right?
Yeah.
they've done a lot of 0 to or quarter mile racing with that. They perform pretty well.
Yeah. But I think it's like an almost.
It looks like a Buick. Like it's like
it's
Buick
ugly.
did. If Buick
It's
did
straight
an
up
EV,
ugly.
Well, that's what I'm saying. If Buick did an electric vehicle, that's how I'd imagine it.
So
would
the
look.
Tesla designer
I think my
actually
dad
went
would
to
drive that.
Lucid,
Yeah.
and he designed that.
Is it?
I'm pretty sure the designer from Tesla went and designed the
Well,
Lucid.
maybe there's a reason why
well,
he got fired.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
That's a great idea.
He was their
There's
worst
the door.
designer.
There's the door.
But in terms of quality, I think it's a step beyond Tesla. They focus more on materials
finish.
and finishes.
Oh,
I'm
they
not
stepped
sure.
up the quality a little bit.
Yeah,
You know, another EV manufacturer is Polestar.
Yeah.
This used
There's
to
a
be
lot. I've seen more and more in Ottawa recently.
Oh yeah.
My furnace guy had one. It was like, and it was all decaled up with
An electric in Polestar.
yeah,
EV.
and he's just like, I'm like, how does that make sense? He's like,
You're
it
a-
makes
you
absolutely
work
no
in
sense
natural
whatsoever.
gas. You're a furnace guy.
And he has to go. He has to drive all day.
Yeah,
to
right.
calls. Like,
Wow.
It's just
but
like it's-
Polestar is not exclusive to EV. Polestar is like a
The
performance
performance of Volvo.
brand, right?
Right.
But oh yeah, but they've converted to being all EV now.
Really?
If I remember correctly.
That's that's a nice looking SUV.
That's all right.
Yeah.
The Audi
RS.
what is it? Audi
No, it's
e-tron GT?
e-tron.
e-tron, yeah.
RS.
That's
Oh, but there's the e-tron GT and the GT RS.
That's the one I like.
I think that's a nice. I mean,
That's
what,
nice.
what is the one you put up last? It was the coupe, but I thought it looked awful. That looks nice.
Well, we were
okay.
speaking about SUVs, Eric.
I know, but I'm just saying, like that, because that's
yeah.
electric, right? And
Yes.
it looks awful to me.
Yeah.
That looks good as an SUV.
Rob, you're new to this picture. What do you think?
I think it's okay.
Yeah.
I think
Like
it's,
those-
it's
you
not
like those-
offensive. It's not like the Cayenne or anything. Like, like it's
Wait.
Oh, here we go.
Well, let's not go there.
Okay.
Otherwise, we'll be here
I
for
watched
another
that
hour.
episode. I'm ready.
No, but the e-tron RS. What's the full name? The
e-tron GT.
GT RS.
I'm not sure if there's an RS
Yeah, of
behind
course,
it.
it's an RS. Chris Harris drove the shit out of it.
I would look this up, but Eric would say I'm using these things that are bad for
Right.
the environment and
Yeah.
the Republic of Congo.
Just put on your treadmill charger. As long as it's self-powered, I'm okay.
Built in
Oh,
price.
what's that?
e-tron
That's
GT.
gorgeous.
It's actually
Yeah, it's a
I
nice
love
Oh,
car.
yeah, there is
Yeah.
the RS variant.
There is an RS variant.
Right.
But it doesn't look very different from the
It's-
regular.
I think it's more power. It has
Yeah.
nicer bumpers, nicer seats.
Maybe a bigger battery.
It's more of like it's basically a cheaper turbo.
Looks more touring.
Taycan.
Yeah.
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 This is the one that's also very hard to get.
Yes.
Chris Harris couldn't even get one.
Yeah.
He, even if he asked for,
Yeah.
he was complaining about that too.
But this car in photos, it doesn't really translate how good it looks in person.
Yeah.
When you see that on the road, it's very low, it's very wide. It's based on the Taycan platform, but it's got even more dramatic curves and more dramatic fenders. I think it's a great looking car.
What was it like? Chris Harris was saying this drives better than the Taycan.
That's what
Oh,
he's
really?
saying. Yeah. Yeah.
Pretty cool.
That'd be fun to try.
Maybe
I find
should-
that a lot with a lot of cars lately that the photos just don't do it justice. Like I test drove the Taycan just for fun, and when I saw it, I was like, I got warm feeling all over,
Yeah.
and then I drove it. I'm like,
That was the
"Whoa."
battery overheating beneath you. Just park the
the
car for
seat
10
heater won't
minutes, it'll
turn
go
on.
away.
God damn it!
Yeah. But also this car, a nice thing about this car is that the interior still feels very car-like.
And Audi's a great interior.
It doesn't feel like an electric car inside.
You know
It's
what?
very
How
Yeah.
would you tell the difference?
so when I say electric, I mean like BMW i8, Tesla.
So it's funny. So now that you have the stigma of Tesla, it being like, junky plastic interior, that's your association with
No,
EV.
no.
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 I'm more focused on like the big center screens, lack of a
Exactly.
cluster.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
That kind of feeling, right?
So Tesla came out with a 17-inch monitor in in portrait mode
and no dash.
and no dash.
Yeah.
And everyone's copying them now. And every EV manufacturer has a damn 17 or 21-inch
Wait, a
A
monitor.
lot of gas-powered vehicles are doing it now.
So
right? With
in
like
your
a ton
in your
of just
Taycan,
electronics
do
for
you
sure.
have a gauge cluster above the steering wheel?
Yes, of course.
Okay, you have that.
It's more traditional.
And
Right.
you can control it because it's all digital.
Right.
Yeah.
All that.
What was
cobalt.
it? The Model S Plaid or one of the models? Now they don't have that center, the cluster. It's kind of moved off.
The Model S still has it.
Okay.
It has a large screen, but it still has a cluster in front.
Okay.
But this one, I'm not sure if there's any interior photos, but it doesn't feel like an electric car at all on the inside.
So is this the one that's like the most exciting, affordable EV that you think of?
How much is that car?
I'm not sure if it's
Oh,
affordable.
yeah, how much is it?
It's 150.
That's 150.
Is it?
Yeah.
And the Taycan would be 190. 220.
Oh, this
no,
is
yours was
190.
220.
Yeah, the entry 160.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's 190.
Bit more
190,
expensive than an
gotcha.
entry level Taycan.
Yeah, but that's an RS
Yeah.
though. So it's
Yeah.
if you're
Comparable
comparing
to a Turbo S
yeah.
or Turbo.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Great looking car.
How do we talk about EVs? Do you talk like, oh, it's got X amount of horsepower? Is it, what numbers do you quote when you're trying to
range.
impress your
Range.
friends? Is that what you say?
I've got 600 miles.
When you're hanging out with your EV friends?
What is this?
Where do you guys hang out? I don't know. Radio Shack? I don't know.
I have to confess, I
The
have
sword.
no
It's the sword snap.
EV
You have no
friends.
EV.
All I have you assholes.
It's a lonely existence. So there's not.
I have
There's not.
such
we
a long
might-
range.
We might.
Is this like
So
comparing
it's
sizes
range.
now?
Yeah.
How much horsepower,
Well,
right?
apparently,
Right.
like,
That's what we would say.
I love
Zero.
that Mercedes that blows me away. You can buy more range online.
Yeah.
Like I need more range. I
But Mercedes tried that with a bunch of their other features too. Like, oh, you want like
Heated
heated
seats.
seats. That'll be X amount of dollars a month. Like, I think it seems to be a failed.
Just to turn it on?
I think customers have revolted.
Yeah.
Yeah, just to turn it on.
I mean, if you look at what iPhone did, every update they would slow your phone down intentionally.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, but they were held to account on that.
Yeah. But if no one caught up on that, they would continue to do it.
Right.
And it was just a way to force you to the new device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How about Rob mentioned?
Can we agree that that's an abomination?
Yeah, it's terrible.
That's like a
Yes,
Honda
That's
Civic.
terrible.
Yeah, it's not the prettiest car.
You know how they designed
Look at
this?
the wheels though. Like
They're aero
they,
discs.
like they actually what?
They're
Yeah.
aero discs.
They're
for low
efficiency.
drag.
Yeah.
Low drag. It is.
It's- yeah.
it's genuinely functional.
Okay.
Yeah.
But the way they designed this was like they took a little, water drop and, oh, that's the shape of the water drop. Oh, let's do that.
It's like the Bruce Lee,
Yeah.
like be like water kind of thing.
Yeah, because when you look at the Leaf, for example, they're like, yeah, we looked to nature for inspiration, and it came out ugly. It looked like a blower fish.
So there's cars like this that are electric that have so much thought into them to be less restrictive, and then there's the new Hummer, right? You
And then there's the new Hummer.
and it's an electric Hummer with no aero discs,
So they use
a vertical
horsepower.
windshield.
They use the word horsepower, right? 1,000 horsepower.
Yes, they do.
Is that what they're claiming?
Yeah. And then like the
But
crab walk.
This is pretty badass. So we saw it in
Crab
Montreal.
walk is cool.
Yeah.
Wow.
Okay. Stay up on the big picture. Or yeah, make it. Yeah, that's a very masculine looking vehicle.
Very masculine. It's got air suspension. It's got the ride height. It's got aggressive styling. It's got. I mean, it's Hummer design.
Yeah.
That's a Ford. There's.
There you go.
Give me a.
I mean, in terms of application of electric vehicle, like I think that's the formula. Like I always hated when they would come out with the, what was the hybrids or whatever, and they put them in the smallest vehicles that were probably already fuel efficient in their internal combustion counterpart. And yet they would have these big Suburbans and, Denali's that would just be, running 6.7 liters and burning fuel. That to me seems like a good application of a lower emission vehicle.
I've always loved the idea of the plug-in hybrid, right? It's the best of both worlds.
I agree.
Like Range Rover has one. I drove it. It's terrible, but I think it'll get better. But I mean, like if you're using it for the first, 50 or 80 kilometers, then you're not worrying about gas. So you don't have to worry about that, but it'll kick in if you need it.
Yeah.
And then it'll charge it as well. So just it goes forever.
Well, that's a good point about like what are the alternatives as well, right? Like when you talk about EVs, there are alternative solutions as well. We have hydrogen powered cars. What was it, Nissan? One of the manufacturers, they went out with the big
The
tech.
hydrogen? Oh yeah, I think it was.
Nissan or Honda. One I can't remember who. Hydrogen powered vehicles are a big thing as well.
The bicycle.
The school bus,
Mass transit.
good alternative.
Yeah.
Yeah, the Hummer's cool. You know, even
But this thing basically is the opposite of everything that an EV
yeah.
like looks like typically, right?
This reminds me of a Halo vehicle. All you need is a big gun at the back.
Do you know how much that is? Because I think
I think it's 150.
yeah, about that.
yeah.
Yeah.
I have a
A
friend
mutual
who's on-
friend of ours is on
Yeah,
the
that's
list.
right. He's on
Yeah.
the list for
Yeah.
this.
That'd be cool. Imagine like crab walking into a parking spot.
I would crab walk on like the Elgin.
Everywhere. Yeah. The Sands walk.
Just excuse me here. I'm just gonna get by.
But anyways, cool car. I think it's a step in the direction of what people want the EVs to look like. It's just normal cars, right?
The most overhyped car that has not seen light of day is this Tesla. What
I
is
got my
Why
deposit
is that?
it? Oh, serious?
Yeah. Yeah. Well,
Is it
and
coming
now
now?
apparently there's
What?
another design that doesn't look anything like this.
Well, hold on, Rob. I think they shipped that car to Mars.
Oh, that's true.
They
did.
did.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
did.
that's why you got your deposit back.
You were bidding on the one car they had, and they sent it to Mars.
They sent it to Mars.
So why haven't they delivered on this?
Economy of scale, maybe.
Yeah.
Like they have
I
time
think
for
they had
the
better buy-in on the
Cybertruck.
Cybertruck.
Yeah,
They had the bigger buy-in.
yeah, they certainly did. There's a lot of uptake,
Yeah.
a lot of uptake on that.
Don't know. Well, we'll never know.
We'll never know.
We'll get Elon Musk on the next episode.
This is interesting. When I was doing a bit of research, Top Gear just had the top electric hypercars out there.
Okay,
The fact that Ariel's producing a hypercar too,
this is from the Ariel Atom, right?
Yeah.
That's where the same.
quite interesting.
It's awful looking.
I have
is
no
that?
idea what this is.
Aspark Owl.
What is it called? Aspark.
It's sparking your bum.
Oh my
spark.
god.
Oh,
Okay.
it will be a spark in your bum.
Yeah.
Oh, it's Japan. It's
Oh,
Japanese.
there you go.
It says
That explains
Japan's.
it.
Yeah.
Well, that's new. Lotus Evija.
No, that's where
Oh.
this is the basis for the Emira.
Emira.
Is that what it is?
Yeah.
Oh wow. Okay.
So they built this car 1st and the Emira is basically taking a lot of design cues from this car.
Okay. Yeah. Well, the hood obviously is very similar, right?
The side profile, all that.
Prabhu
super
has
cool.
actually a Lotus Emir on order.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I got an email saying I can put my build through in fall.
Oh, okay.
I'm like, okay,
Yeah.
You got a lot of irons in the fire. Like,
whichever
whenever
materializes.
chicken comes home to roost.
Yeah, exactly.
So Italians, what a nice design of the Pininfarina.
Oh, that's kind of cool.
Yeah, it looks beautiful.
Yeah. So that's the Batista. That's also, I think, the Rimac supplies batteries for this.
That's right.
Does that? I mean, that looks a. I mean, of course, I know it's a Ferrari designer, but does that not look like the
It's a
SF90?
488.
Looks
Yeah.
It looks like a 488.
Yeah. Oh, SF90.
I was
Or
thinking
SF90.
oh, the
SF90.
yeah, the 90.
Don't know what that
this
is.
a Chinese
care.
version. What the hell? It's awful looking.
This is the Rimac 2.
Okay.
So
Which
that's
is-
actually that's the original. The C2 was actually the original Rimac design. They've altered that since, but
1800 horsepower. Wow.
it's 1916, 1914. That's right.
You know, I think of all these hypercars with all this power and torque. There's so much focus on straight line speed. How often are you ever going to tap into it? And you come across a bend so fast.
Right.
Are you, as a person, going to be able to, as a consumer, be able to react to it?
I looked up. I did look up around the Nürburgring, and it was the Taycan Turbo S, so top spec. It had a really impressive lap time of 7 minutes 33 seconds, which is I mean a great time. And then I looked at the Panamera Turbo S, so I thought sort of equivalent class gas version of it, and it was 7 minutes 25 seconds, so faster by about 8 seconds.
I guess brute force does win at the end of the day.
Well, I think it's probably. I'm sure
I
it
think
weighs
it's the weight.
less. It's
Yeah.
weight,
It's the weight, yeah.
right? I mean, today's tires can only do so much, right?
Well,
Like the Rimac, and you're talking about handling and not so much about straight line performance. The Rimac has a really advanced torque vectoring system,
Yep.
which I think benefits the car because it is a heavier hypercar since it's a full electric hypercar, but it has a very advanced torque vectoring system, which lets you almost adjust the way the car handles, right? So
Well, like Koenigsegg, do they have all electric variant? I don't think so. They're still motorized.
the Jesko or Jesco,
No, I don't think
That's motorized.
is it motorized
Yeah,
or is it
sure.
is it a hybrid system?
Oh, it's a hybrid.
Yeah.
Yeah. But it's not pure electric.
Regera?
I don't think it's pure electric.
Regera's full electric. I think it is.
It's a plug-in hybrid.
Plug-in hybrid.
Okay.
And obviously, it brings up Mitsubishi.
yeah. I always
almost
confuse
identical.
those two.
Yeah.
I really do.
That's the ghost package.
But I'm pretty
You'll
sure
never see coming.
yeah.
that's the highlight of basically hypercars.
Yeah.
There's nothing really else out there,
No,
right? So
it's the Rimac that's
Well, what
the
are the
most
last
exciting.
two? You were the top. Was it the top 10?
Well,
Insert your
this
own
looks
name.
very tech, right? Like,
Well,
it's
this,
a platform.
this is what Rimac is selling, right?
yeah.
Ah,
So they're basically saying, here, put your own design on top of this platform.
right.
It's a platform.
It's going to
very-
drive like every
cool.
other EV.
Yeah.
It's like the App Store.
And then there's the
It's car as a service.
Dendrobium.
I've never heard of it. But actually, it's funny you say that about how it drives straight pipes. Toronto
Yeah,
car reviewers,
I remember
they
seeing.
drive a lot of cars, right?
Yeah.
And he says, we've driven so many cars,
Oh.
and electric cars, for example, they all drive the same. He says they're all very fast. They all suck you into into the seat, and that's kind of where it ends for him in terms of
Right.
performance and
Yeah.
and feedback. So they're great cars maybe for commuters, for a lot of other reasons, but in terms of comparison, if you drive, let's say, a Huracan, and you drive a GT3, and you drive, SF90, they all drive differently. They have different characteristics. But when you get into electric cars, they're kind of delivering the same package,
Yeah.
right? In terms of performance and drivability.
Isn't there's that great meme that says, a microwave can cook your hamburger in like 30 seconds, but everyone prefers a
Barbecue.
barbecued hamburger,
Yeah.
right? No one ever asked for a microwave hamburger.
I think the metaphor holds, but like also but carry on.
Well, because
But-
it's
but-
a 0
but
to
to your
60,
point, like-
it's
like-
fast.
It's still really early,
Yeah.
right? Like the first cars probably all felt the same,
Yeah.
right? So the tech, maybe they'll rebalance it so you have a better driving experience.
Yeah.
I feel Porsche's already done that in
Yeah.
the early stages.
Actually,
so,
you have two, right? You have two electric cars.
Yeah.
And
Two different
and they-
experiences.
And how do you feel?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I was on my way to get a second Tesla when I bought the Porsche because it was just the experience was that much different. So there is
Hold on,
like,
you're on
on
your
the
way to-
straightaway.
Wait, you said you were on your way to get a second Tesla when you got the Porsche?
Oh,
Yeah, I was looking at like Tesla 3 or something just to get me around town, and then when I got the Porsche, like when I drove it to drive it, and it just sold me.
Okay.
So it is very, very different.
Mhm.
Like I can, like to your guys' point, like I can turn and I can feel the turn, and
Yeah,
I
yeah.
feel comfortable and safe in the turn,
Yeah.
and I feel less so in the Teslas
Yeah.
at the speed at which I turn.
Before we conclude, we probably should wrap up. It's super
It's been a
exciting.
long- it's a long one.
It's a long
Yeah.
one.
Yeah.
We've kept
A lot of
going.
coverage.
But it's interesting to see that the 918 is going to go pure electric.
No.
Yeah, it says.
Apparently,
But there could be a demand side to this.
Wasn't the first one pure electric, or is
It was
it?
it's a hybrid. Plug-in
Okay.
hybrid. Not a plug-in, but it's a hybrid.
It's a
The
hybrid
the
system.
918 was hybrid.
The motor recharges the battery. Battery's a torque fill.
Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
Hold
Pagani.
on.
But
hold on.
isn't this the major manufacturer's response to is it CAF, whatever the restrictions is across your whole lineup, you can only
Yep.
emit a certain, so that's likely like Pagani, unless they want to start making a compact car.
Well, it's also the fact that the regulation for 2030, right?
Right, yeah, and that's
And
also,
they have to prepare themselves. If
Right.
they don't prepare now,
yeah, they'll be out of business.
they'll be out of business. So they have to come up with options. A Pagani electric car. I guess that'd be cool.
Mhm.
I mean, it's a jewel on wheels. Most people will never drive it. It'll just be sitting in a showroom
Yeah.
as a party piece. So why not put an electric motor? Saves the
I
world.
wanna
a
go
little.
to
Do
that party.
you know what the biggest thing I think I'll miss in all these cars? Like the speed and the horsepower and the torque aside, I'm gonna miss the gearbox because
Right.
like I love a manual gearbox in at least one of my cars,
Yeah.
right? So like these cars, even though they'll get better and better and they'll perform better and they'll feel, you know, the torque vector may improve, you'll feel the handling improve. You're gonna lack the connection you had with the
Do you think
gearbox.
that's a possibility?
I was going to ask that.
right? Like,
Yeah.
Or is it mechanically feasible to have a clutch in a, like, or is it just going to burn through because the torque and
I mean, think of all the mechanical parts that you need to connect all the motors together
Yeah.
into a
Right.
transmission
so
tower.
much.
right?
Yeah.
The wheels are driving themselves,
Yeah.
essentially.
I don't know. I don't know. We don't know.
We don't know. We
Because
actually,
there are some like purists like that. I love driving standard.
Yeah.
Right. Like I definitely miss that
like,
part
do
of
you have
it.
a manual car right now?
No.
See, do you miss it?
Yeah, I definitely. I just said it. Rewind the tape.
Roll it back for
love
Lucas.
that.
Roll
I love
back
that
the tape.
control.
Yeah.
Right. I love never having to use the brake if I didn't have to. And
See, this is where I think the classic.
but I wonder if that would come in electric. Sorry.
No. I mean, maybe. You never know.
Yeah.
Maybe so. Well, actually,
It's a feature.
I would look to
Mercedes will
Koenigsegg.
charge for it.
I would look to Koenigsegg to
deliver.
innovate on something like that because they built a car that has a manual and automatic in one.
Yes.
I wouldn't be
That's
surprised.
the new CCX, right?
Yeah.
Is that what was it called?
I can't remember.
It's the new version of the CCX.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you get the best of both worlds. If you want it, shift it into manual. Now you could drive a manual. If you don't, put it into automatic and off you go. Even Koenigsegg is going all electric, and so is Lamborghini.
Lamborghini, eh?
It's the way of the world. Might as well jump on the bandwagon.
Does it make anyone want to go out and buy a whole bunch of like gas vehicles before this time just to stockpile?
So here's the thing.
know?
I think if you own an ICE car or a vintage classic car of some sort, hang on to it because it's going to skyrocket in value when by 2030, manual cars are going to be so rare, it's going to be a premium.
Unless
That's already
the,
started to happen with the naturally aspirated Ferraris, right?
Yeah.
yeah, the 458.
Yeah.
But what if the government oversteps and also then like there is no more oil and gas available to the consumer? Like they'll always, I think, be oil and gas because that's how our roads are made and plastics, everything is a petrochemical product. But what if they just wonder?
I mean, I was watching a little feed that came on. That's essentially it. You shut that down, our economy will shut down.
Yeah.
Totally.
Yeah.
Like that's not like it's not going to happen.
Well, you
There's
can't.
a great
You can't.
book on it, How the World Really Works by Václav Smil. And he argues that entirely, that shutting down like these incentives to shut, like this whole thing, our whole discussion is going to brutalize our economy if you actually were to follow through with it, and world economies.
And you wouldn't be able to mine
And it's
the things you need
unrealistic.
to make electric vehicles.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the power that.
This is, I mean, I don't want to be political here, but this is one area that I perhaps agreed on Trump policies in some way, right? When he was arguing.
Oh,
Whoa.
name drop.
Which like Donald Trump?
Yeah.
Which Trump?
Oh, yeah.
Tony
Is there
Ivanka.
many?
Love her shoes.
On that bombshell of a note,
All right.
maybe we should conclude.
Yeah.
What do you guys say?
Yeah. Great.
Make it a
Yeah,
wrap.
great conversation.
Thank you, Rob, for joining us.
Yeah, thanks
it was-
for dunking on me all night. Appreciate it.
Hey, I think we were very civilized.
Well, Rob is the only one who actually has experience with really
Yeah,
like
With both.
both, right? Extensively. So
And supply chain experience, so
Yeah.
and actually counter your claims. But yeah, but we're all on the same page as government overreach
Okay.
Well, I
and
think
mandates.
I think we're also on the same page that if battery technology does not evolve fast enough, if infrastructure doesn't adapt fast enough, we're going down a slippery slope.
For sure.
That's going to hurt our environment pretty bad. And it doesn't seem like there is new technologies, new companies that are building innovations in the space. So hopefully they will kind of carry this forward and make EVs sustainable. I think we can conclude
yeah,
on that. Thank you very much,
Great
gentlemen.
chat.
That was good.
I'm all dry.
I'm all dry. Thank you all for watching. I hope you all enjoyed. Forgive the little bit of an audio mix-up that we had early on in the video or in the podcast. Hopefully the second half is better. Anyways, thank you all for watching. We'll see you all in the next one.
Cheers.